Alrighty. Hi, everybody. My name's Binks. I'm going to be running Jedi Fallen Order all abilities, no fly for you. And joining me for commentary is Z Money Train, who ran Jedi Survivor last night.
Yo. Excited for this.
So we'll just go ahead and get started. We load from an existing file just right at the beginning of the game. So here we go. So this is a little bit different. This is not an official leaderboard category. It's still fairly new. I think I'm the only person that's done a run of it. There are reasons for it to not be on the leaderboard, which we can talk about as the game goes on. But Zeman, if you just want to talk about this little intro movement section here.
Yeah, so we're playing as Cal Kestis, a Jedi Padawan that survived the Order 66 purge. He's just living and hiding as a scrapper on Braca here. It's just another day on the job, basically, and starting out, our fastest form of movement here is rolling. And right away there, you saw him do a drop jump. It's what we call it. It's basically exactly how it sounds. You're hitting drop and jump at the same time. And there's a cutscene trigger for climbing that ledge, so he skipped like 30 seconds there.
Yeah, drop jumps are pretty handy. We'll be using them in quite a few places throughout the run.
Yeah, and after that first slide, he gets the ability to sprint, and the game doesn't tell you can sprint until much later in the game for whatever reason, but right after that first slide, we can sprint and speed things up a little bit.
Yeah, so during this intro section, we're kind of just trying to optimize and always use whatever the fastest movement option available to us is, which kind of changes depending on the gameplay section. Cool, so there you saw me do another drop jump. Just that one's kind of cheeky. It just skips a really short little animation of that ledge breaking when Cal grabs onto it. Saves about a second if you get it. And then going through, there's a lot of crawl spaces in this game. Some people thought it was maybe to load different areas, and sometimes it is, but a lot of it's just game design philosophy. The devs trying to funnel you into and out of certain areas and prevent you from going back in certain cases. But here, I'll be doing another drop jump to go do some out of bounds movement and save hopefully a minute if I can get this.
That's a very tricky skip because he's doing it blind pretty much.
Yeah, and without sound, I don't even have any audio cues, but okay.
Nice.
Good job, first try. So that was, some out of bounds movement to skip about a minute to a minute and 20 seconds of platforming that the game normally wants you to go through at the beginning sequence, just to kind of show you the ropes of how the platforming in the game works. There's a lot of it in the game casually. It's kind of Uncharted-like almost in the way it expects you to go through levels. So that's just a little intro to it, but it's obviously pretty slow, so we want to avoid going on the intended path as much as possible when the intended path is slow.
Yeah. Or that pro droid.
So you might have noticed that
spots Prof and Cal and saving him, so the Empire is alerted of a possible Jedi.
Yeah. And so you might notice that these cutscenes are playing extremely fast. This is an exclusive glitch to the PlayStation 5 version of the game that mutes all game audio and causes most of the cutscenes, not all of them, to play back anywhere between 8x and 15x speed. It varies a little bit depending on which cutscene. We're not entirely sure why. But if you were wondering why there's no game sound, that is the reason. There will be no game sound unless I crash, and then I'll have to reset up the glitch where I mute the game audio. This is just another kind of on-rails section dream sequence where you're supposed to walk down this train and then turn around and walk back down this hallway. It takes a couple of minutes. Not really much to it.
Yeah, throughout the game, Cal does a lot of these especially when he's relearning his force abilities. Little sections where he's remembering his training, or kind of nightmare sequences like this, where still dealing with his guilt that he hasn't quite faced yet.
Yeah, and specifically the flashbacks where he relearns force abilities, we'll be able to get through some of those in kind of interesting ways that is not really intended, and you'll see more of that coming up.
Yeah, especially with the speed up effect, certain things happen in different timings. And sometimes you'll just be flipped 180 degrees when you spawn in, and it's just some weird side effects with the cutscene glitch. Now we're starting the train here. There's a lot of like tutorial combat and things that tries to pull you into, but Binks is gonna be skipping through most of that. Starting out with this first trick here.
So we'll try to skip most of the train using this glitch that I'm attempting to do called a target lock jump, where you lock onto an enemy, you jump, and then at the apex of the jump, you can use the force slow ability or block with your lightsaber, or there's a bunch of different ways that you can do it. But if you time it right, you'll get a boost in the vertical direction that can help you clear obstacles like the train car. And here I'll do another one if I don't fail. To get on top of this AT-AT, skips a little climbing. And so basically the whole train is just moving from car to car, trying to TLJ on top of the cars to avoid crawl spaces and enemies.
Yeah, there's one especially slow one where it forces you to do every single move, basic tutorial style of block this attack now, evade this attack now, parry this enemy.
Yeah, and if you don't do it exactly the way the game wants you to do it, you have to redo that specific tutorial, so it takes forever. But luckily, that's the first one that we skip, so we don't have to worry about that.
There's the first time it tells you can sprint by clicking the left stick. Going for it. Oh, Binks went for a pause buffer clip, PBC. There's several times in the game where we can utilize toggling motion blur or other things in the menu. That was the rare,
the rare wraparound.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a skip I'm going to try to do here that saves about 40 seconds of platforming and doing other things. The PBC is one way to do it the fastest, but it's not mandatory, so I'm just going to try to attempt this little backup here. Oh, okay. Well.
No.
I didn't press the button to grab onto that, but I guess Cal does it automatically. That's fine. It only loses about 30 seconds, but what I was trying to go for there is some out of bounds movement on top of a second train car, basically, that's beneath the train that you're on. So instead, we'll just do this platforming the way we're supposed to and watch a really fast cutscene. That trick was way more important on the PC version when we didn't have this fast cutscene glitch. It saved about a minute and a half, but with the fast cutscenes, it saves a lot less time.
And it's over.
And we're done. On PC, that would have been 45 seconds, I think.
Yeah. Those are our buddies that will rescue us here in a minute. Seer and Grease, they also intercepted the Empire warning about a possible Jedi, and they're gonna come to rescue us. Just about
so we
done
play
with
on
the first planet, though.
Yeah. So we play on the lowest difficulty for speed reasons. It's just there's no reason to play on any higher difficulty, but this game does have a lot of careful. This game has a lot of Souls-like elements and inspirations that you'll see as we go into the later levels with the combat and just the way the game's designed. On higher difficulties, there is one category called All Bosses that runs on the highest difficulty. The train is much, much more difficult. But here we do switch the difficulty to Grandmaster because there's a mandatory boss fight that we are scripted to lose. So the fastest way to get through it is just to let the boss hit you, which on the highest difficulty takes 3 hits.
This cutscene is especially fast, but it would be several minutes on PC, and it's
Yeah, so
over like so fast.
on PC between Braca and Bagano, which is the second planet, there's that cutscene and then this one that's about to play as soon as I interact with this guitar, banjo, if you will. Together, this sequence from the end of that boss fight to when I get control of Cal here on this planet on PC would have been 7 minutes and 15 seconds. And I think here it's 45 seconds, including the time it took me to walk from the end of the first cutscene to the beginning of the second one. So it's very, very fast. There's not a lot of cutscene breaks in this run.
Yeah. Do you know how much time this route saves compared to PC on just cutscenes? Is it like 20 plus minutes? Or
it's about 50.
50. I guess you have to watch a lot more cutscenes, don't you?
So there we just did a TLJ off of that bog rat to get onto that platform quite a bit before we're supposed to be able to get up there so that we could get a Force Echo worth almost an entire level of experience. It's worth that much because it's supposed to be a late game thing that you get, but because we were able to get up there so early, we can get it now. It's important for our XP route because I need to have 2 skill points by the time I get down to this meditation pad here, which with that Echo that I just picked up, I have just gotten. And we need 2 skill points because I'll be picking up what's called the dash strike, which is our primary form of movement in the game, until we get an improved dash strike a little bit later on that just takes us a little bit further. But we can chain them together if I don't have skill problems to move pretty fast through all kinds of areas like this.
Yeah, this game is heavily like animation cancel wise. Like you can animation cancel things, and you can animation cancel the dash strike over and over again, and that becomes quite a bit faster than just sprinting. So it's going to use that throughout the run.
Yeah, and now here I'm going to try to do a glitch that only really one person in our community is any good at.
Ooh. Nice.
Got it.
You got it.
So that was the beginning of the flashback where you would have learned how to wall run. However, the way the game is designed, you have the ability to wall run as soon as you get into the flashback. So you don't really need to do anything else, which is good because it takes a while. So we want to get out of the flashback as quick as possible so that we can move on to the rest of the game. And the flashback area is... Excuse me. The flashback area is way above the rest of the planet. So if you do that launch on that corner in a really specific way, the physics and geometry of the game interact in a weird way to send you flying. And we just happen to have a setup that puts us right where we need to be to get BD1, which we need in order to continue on to the vault here.
That exact thing happened to Cage King one time in a run I was watching, and he did like 6 dash strikes before he decided to jump and get over the little invisible ledge or whatever.
Yeah, so the geometry in this game is kind of goofy. Sometimes you have nothing in front of you and the game just doesn't let you move. Sometimes you run into absolutely nothing and go flying in a weird direction. It's a unique experience, okay?
Yeah.
We love it. So I guess we should talk a little bit about what this category is and why it exists. So it's pretty similar to an old leaderboard category that we had called any % no fly, where the objective was to complete the game as fast as possible without using a flying glitch that we are able to do about halfway through this run. Pretty much as soon as you get the double jump is when you can start to fly. So this was an old like route preservation category that we had, and then when was it? 2022 when you found the no fly Order 66 skip?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So around early 2022, Z-Money found a basically a trick that made that category obsolete because it made the fastest way to complete the game the no-fly, or just a different route of no-fly. So the leaderboards were basically merged.
No fly became any percent, basically.
Yeah, no-fly basically became any percent. So I was trying to do a little cheeky skip there, but it's kind of hard to execute. What were we saying? So basically, the leaderboards became combined. There was no more no-fly. It was just any percent. And any percent continued to evolve to its current point, which is a little bit under 30 minutes on PlayStation 5. I would say it's about as broken as Jedi Survivor for anybody that saw that run last night. But there was a desire with some people in the community for a more, like, a little bit longer of a technical speed run. So any percent right now is really short, very glitch heavy. I would say equally broken as Jedi Survivor. There's an all bosses category, which is more combat focused, and it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on the platform. And then there's 100%, which is very technical, very movement heavy, but it's 4 hours long. Like 4 hours would be a really good run. We don't really have a medium length category that's not combat focused, that does a lot of cool glitches and requires good movement. So I spent a lot of time trying to think up what kind of a rule set would I need to make in order to create a category like that. And what I wound up coming up with is all abilities. So this game is a Metroidvania at its heart, where you'll get a bunch of different abilities around the game that let you traverse the world in different ways and create new possibilities in combat. So what we're going to do is get every single one of them, every ability that affects Cal's movement or traversal or combat that isn't a skill. And the way we know what an ability is it's on this menu right here. If it shows up here, it's an ability. So it requires us to go to every planet at least once and complete a pretty good portion of the game as quickly as possible.
Yeah. See, Banks is getting some XP on the way to his next objective here.
Yeah, so I need another skill point by the time I get my next ability. And so we just kind of have it mathed out to pick up certain scans, and then there's one enemy that I'll have to kill. This is not normally what I would do, but I'm going to try and show you guys something that would be really cool if I got it, but it's not consistent at all, so I just get this save point as a backup, and then I'll go try to execute this glitch real quick over here. Like I said, not very consistent at all. I'll give it 2 or 3 attempts, and if I get it, great. If I don't, I'll have to go the other way. That's low.
You're in the slide.
Okay. And
I should
have paused a little bit earlier. I'll give it a couple more attempts. So yeah, we just dash into this corner right here, and if my angle's correct and I time an input correctly, I'll get a huge boost of speed in my forward direction, and that'll take me basically straight to the tomb where my first ability is.
Try to look up a little bit. That helps me sometimes for whatever reason.
Okay, well this is a not ideal launch. Yeah, this loses about a minute. It loses about a minute if I don't do that. Okay, I'll give it one more try. So you can back that up, and it loses about a minute to getting an ideal launch. But since I fell off, I'll just try to do it again. I should have opened this door before I saved.
Oh yeah, you gotta open every time.
Yeah.
Oh,
That should work. Nice.
Yes. Nice. Got it. We got it.
So that's one of those instances of geometry and physics coming together in the game for a very interesting and unintended result. The community's called that YOLO launch, basically, since we found it because of how inconsistent it is. Speaking of inconsistent, what is win percent doing to me right now? So after you do that, you have to do a dash into the wind here and land up here, which occasionally gives people trouble. By people, I mean me. And then we just have to kill one of these enemies, and then I have enough XP for my next skill as soon as I get my next ability. And we'll just do a quick TLJ up here to get into the tomb a little bit faster. And now, so normally we would ride this elevator all the way down, but we're speedrunners, and that sounds slow. So I'm just going to do a quick little clip to get out of the elevator. And then we fall all the way down.
Nice. I missed the push temple.
I like this level.
Yeah.
It's really fun in 100%, but it's pretty fun in the other categories too. So normally you would have to go through the tomb in a different direction. Once again, this is very slow. It's way faster to just go backwards, do another clip through this door, and now we're at the push ability.
Seeing a trend that PBCs are very effective in this game.
Yep. Imagine being able to walk through walls. It would let you get to things very fast.
Yeah.
So this is one of those flashbacks we talk about where we have ways of doing it a little bit faster and a little bit unintended. So what's supposed to happen is our master's supposed to push this ball at us, and we're supposed to push it and hit the target. But I didn't do it right that time. If you time it right, you can push the ball right back at him and save a little bit of time, just like that.
Oh, that first one counted. Nice. The way it like ricocheted, I didn't know if it counted as a hit.
Oh. Okay, good. And then, well, sometimes BD runs to the center of the room because he's really, really interested in this sarcophagus. We don't actually need that. We just need to scan that enemy. And now we have our skill point that we need for the improved dash strike, which is the fastest form of normalized movement in the game. And we'll be using it for the rest of the run. I think that should be the last skill that we get, unless I feel like it. Now there's nothing left to do here except for get out of the tomb. Normally you would have to solve a puzzle involving moving a bunch of balls around and putting them in the right position, but it's way easier to just use glitches, get out of bounds here, and jump back up to the elevator. You actually have to push that grate right there. If you were to clip into the elevator or launch in without pushing that grate from the outside, the ball that's set right here would not move. The flag to enable that ball to move is this grate over here being pushed, which is just kind of interesting.
Yeah. That was push temple. So and now you're heading directly to get pull, right? You're doing
yeah. So
Zepho.
Yeah. So normally in a casual playthrough, right, you would come to Zepho, you would get push, and then you would progress the story onto a different planet, Kashyyyk. In other categories, you would also do this, but this is all abilities, no fly. So what we're going to do is we're going to complete this entire planet in one trip, and then we're going to leave. So I have quite a bit of other things to do here. So instead of heading right back to the ship, I'm going to go pick up a BD1 ability called Scomp Link that'll let me open a bunch of doors and hack terminals, I think. And then we'll be headed to the other tomb. where we get the ability to use force pull, which is actually really handy on Kashyyyk.
Yeah, Binks is going to go for a little tricky TLJ here. Luckily, the PS5 speeds up this cutscene super fast, so the enemies kind of stay in combat with you for just long enough for him to lock back on and TLJ back out. Otherwise, he'd have to platform all the way to the top and zip line down.
Yeah, if those enemies forget that you're there and you get out of combat, it takes forever to get out of there. But luckily, the fast cutscenes make it so that we finish getting the scomp link and we're back ready to get out of there before they have forgotten about us, which is nice. So these guys I have to kill just because there's a platforming section coming up that they can shoot me off of. Yeah, so right here, if I hadn't killed them, they could pretty easily just take shots at me and knock me off, which is annoying.
Yeah, Cal kind of does like a cartoonish, you got me, and let's go to the ledge when he gets hit.
Ugh.
Yeah. Oh no!
Okay, now up here there's a big monster fighting stormtroopers that I'm going to try and stay out of combat with and fail. Hopefully he forgets about me. Okay,
Yeah,
I think I'm good. Nice.
Ooh,
okay.
First try.
So,
that is very difficult.
yeah, these pause buffer clips that we've been doing, their difficulty varies depending on what you're trying to clip through. And basically the hardest thing in this game that I've come across to clip through that is possible to clip through are these laser gates. For whatever reason, they're really thick. Sometimes their collision is wonky and it makes Cal move at weird angles that you don't expect. So yeah, it's very, very hard to PVC through those. So I'm very happy I was able to get that first try. It's not over yet. I've got about 3 more that I have to do, I think. Hello, please?
Yeah, typically the dash flip PVCs are harder than the dash strike PVCs, and then certain doors and things like laser gates are really hard to time as well.
I'm gonna kill this guy real quick. Okay. I'm gonna have to come back this way and TLJ off these enemies, so it's easier if there's not a bunch of them shooting at me. So I try to take out the ranged troopers as much as I can. So this is one of those laser gates where Cal's collision is very strange. As you can see, Cal's going completely off screen when he dash flips in there. So I'm pretty much doing this blind.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
I think part of that is the enemies as well, like because when he does the dash check around or dash flip around those droids, he goes like way higher than he normally does.
Yeah, that's correct. So you'll actually see here in a second when I have to PVC back out that the fact that I've killed these enemies will make the PVC much different, and Cal won't go flying up off screen anymore. No idea why this is. I've spent so much time looking for a way to get into this room without doing this PVC, like out of bounds or anything like that, and I haven't been able to find one. So yeah,
I think I've gotten outside of that room, but just with like flying around and messing around. But yeah, it's locked down pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't been able to find a way. Okay, I think I'm up. Hello? Yeah, I haven't been able to find a way. I hope someone else can, because I really don't like doing those PVCs. Even after you kill the enemies in that room, it's not a normal laser gate. Cal has a very strange way of trying to dash flip up against it, which is not the way that you do all the other ones. And now I just have to PVC through this death plane here, which sometimes gives me more trouble than it has any right to, I guess. There we go.
Nice.
So that PVC skips a boss fight, and what on PC would be a pretty long cutscene. But since this is not all bosses and we don't have to fight any of the bosses, we can just BBC through that void plane, and we're onto the tomb. So our objective here is just to get the force pull ability, and that's really all we need. So we're gonna do whatever we can to go pretty much straight there, and then get out of the tomb as fast as possible. And then it just so happens that the last ability we need to get is right at the tomb exit, and then we'll be able to leave the planet. So we skip a lot of this tomb. Normally, casually, I think you would probably be here for about 40 minutes if you were not taking your time at all the first time. We'll be out of here in about 5. So that right there, you saw me do jump cancel that. So the chain dashing that you've seen me doing is taking advantage of, as Z Money said earlier, the ability to cancel certain animations, like at the tail end of them. You don't necessarily have to do that with the same animation. You can, for instance, cancel a dash strike with a jump, and that's actually interesting in that it extends your momentum forward if you do it correctly. So we'll be able to use that in a few situations to just do some pretty cheeky movement and be fast, where otherwise it would take a second to do things. So normally you have to go through this entire tomb. There's like this whole other long branch that takes a few minutes, and it has a bunch of enemies. But so on the back side of this wall, there are vines that you can climb. You're not supposed to be able to climb this side, but you can. And by climbing up and voiding out, sometimes it doesn't work exactly right the first time. So by climbing all the way up and then moving over here and voiding out, Cal's inbounds position is set in such a way. I don't know why that didn't work.
I think you have to like jump left, don't you?
No. If you jump left, you can actually soft lock. You just want to let go. That might be bad. Okay. Oh, nice. So Cal's inbounds position is set in such a way that the game thinks you're on the second level, which you normally have to go through this whole other section of the tomb in order to get to. So when you void out after you've gone out of bounds, it just respawns you there, which is really handy. I don't know why it took 3 times. Normally that works perfectly.
I think most cases of the crawl spaces are loading, especially for like PS4 and older gen consoles, but it's funny that they still haven't quite died out yet. There's still some games we're seeing with like crawl spaces and loading kind of slow walk section kind of things.
Yeah, I know a lot of games use it for that to varying degrees. I know the devs for Respawn have... Oh no. Let me out. I know the devs for Respawn specifically have said that sometimes it is for that reason, and sometimes it's just they wanted to funnel you into an area and like kind of force you to be there.
Some dialogue.
Probably, yeah, hard to tell which it is in any case, but sometimes it's loading, sometimes it's just the devs trying to funnel you, I guess.
Appreciate our game. Stop rushing.
That's bad. I don't know why Cal decided he wanted to do a flip, but okay. We'll deal with that.
Classic sideways flip in combat.
Yeah, no idea why that happened.
Juke that guy.
Yeah. Okay, good. So how that's supposed to go is I'm supposed to TLJ up on top of the sarcophagus and then push the scout trooper off, and then this shuttle comes in with a purge trooper and another scout trooper, and you can push the purge trooper off so that he doesn't even have a chance to mess with you. So I kind of got half of it. Just didn't get the first TLJ. And this is more of the fast cutscene glitch doing a lot of work for us. Normally that flashback where you get force pull is like 1:10 seconds. But because Jaro Tapal talks so fast, we're able to get through it in just a few seconds. It's very nice. Some of those instances of basically unskippable cutscenes that are not actually unskippable cutscenes, some of which kind of made their way into Survivor. There's a few situations like that in the next game also, but
yeah. But normally after we get pushed, when we go back to the Mantis, there would be a ATST boss waiting for us. But that won't be the case now, right? Because we did pull.
right. So yeah, normally at the end of Zepho 1, there's a boss fight with an ATST, like you said, and the ATST is still there until, in our case, until we get pull, and now it's gone. The game will still act like it's there, though, or like pretty much right up until we're at the hangar. We'll get, if you look at the subtitles that are on screen, we'll get messages from the crew that are saying, "Oh, there's a walker firing at us, and our weapons are down. Please help us." And then you get there, and there's just nothing there. So normally there would be a puzzle to get out of this tomb in true Uncharted-esque Tomb Raider fashion, right? Anytime you want to get into or out of a tomb, there's usually going to be a puzzle. We have a way to skip this puzzle, but what I need is for the chat to start spamming Kobe, and I might be able to pull this skip off. Oh, I forgot I don't have grasping pull.
Right. Got it.
All right,
Set it
Kobe.
up. Plenty of Kobe's in the chat. Will it be enough?
Kobe.
Easy.
He heard our prayers, chat. Good job. All right, and that's pretty much the end of this tomb. The unfortunate thing about this cutscene glitch is that it doesn't speed up everything that you could maybe consider an unskippable cutscene, including elevator rides. So normally the cutscene that plays out on this elevator is supposed to take longer than the elevator ride. So by the time the cutscene's over, you can get off the elevator, but not for us. The cutscene plays really fast. The elevator moves at normal speed. So we're just kind of stuck sitting here for a minute. It's about 80 seconds, actually.
I see the lighting kind of shift there.
Yeah, as the elevator goes up, you can just see it get brighter and brighter and brighter, and the door will open right now? Question mark? Yeah.
Did you think that was like a soft lock the first time you triggered it?
The first time, no, I was pretty sure I knew what was going on. It was definitely weird.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on? Right, and here's our last ability, which is a probe droid hack that we will never ever use. I don't think we even see a probe droid in this game or in this run. But if we did, we would be able to hack it. So good job, BD, I guess.
There might be one on Ilum somewhere. I can't remember where exactly it is.
Oh yeah, we do run past one on Ilum. It's like
one
right
section.
at the. It's like right at the end when you're leaving.
Oh yeah, on the way out.
When the wall explodes. Yeah, right before the walkers. And that was the last Lasergate PBC of the run. I don't even know if we have to face any more laser gates after this, but if we did, we would have overcharge, so it wouldn't be a big deal. So the first ability that we're going to get on Kashyyyk would let us remove those laser gates from our path, which would be faster than failing a PBC once. So if we did have to use, or did have to go through a laser gate again, we would just use that. But I don't think we do. I should know this.
Well, I guess you could PBC the laser gate to overcharge, but that's slower than probably just taking the normal route.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was distracted by my skill issue. You're not actually supposed to fall off there, imagine.
Slide.
So casually, you might remember if you played this game that after you got out of the tomb where you get force pull, you get captured by bounty hunters. And the same thing is supposed to happen to us. But we have the power of glitches. So instead of fighting this guy, I'm just going to PBC out of the barrier that he puts up. And he doesn't really know what to do about that, so he's just going to stay there.
Yeah, it's a cool sequence, but there's no abilities or anything for us there, so it's better to just skip it.
Yeah, the all bosses speedrun does have to actually go to that location because there is a boss there. But that's the only speedrun category that goes and gets captured by a bounty hunter. I'm not in combat. Interesting. Normally you're in combat until like halfway through that hallway and you can't dash strike, but I was not. As you see, no ATST, no combat, no boss fight here, which is nice. And now we're off to Kashyyyk.
I forgot enemies spawn in that room before the hangar there after the pull.
So traveling from planet to planet is kind of an interesting idiosyncrasy of this game. Before we had the fast cutscene tech, anytime you take off from a planet, Seer and Grease or any other crewmates that you have will start talking. And it used to be that it was faster to go back here and interact with this terrarium because it would interrupt whatever conversation they were having. And it would either play out the initial conversation that you have with Grease where he tells you what the terrarium is, or Cal would just make a comment about how many seeds he had, which was usually way faster than the conversation. So it would let you get to the planet basically as soon as it was done loading. But now Seer and Grease's conversations play out instantly because it is accelerated by the fast cutscene glitch. So we don't have to do that anymore. It's just one of the platform-specific speed techniques that doesn't apply to PS5, but is still used on PC and other platforms.
Yeah, it's interesting that it does speed up their conversations in the ship. Like if you had the subtitles on, you'd just see them go through really fast. Yeah, it's wild that counts as like a sort of cutscene.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this, but we don't actually know anything about why the fast cutscenes work, or how it's determined what is a cutscene that's going to be accelerated and what isn't. So it's just interesting what the game decides to speed up and what it doesn't.
Yeah, it's the fact that it's in Miles Morales. Which is a completely different like engine and things like that makes me think it's something specifically encoding on the game with the PS5, like how it's setting up loading things.
Yeah, it could be something to do with the PlayStation operating system. Although we can get the sound glitch on PC on the Steam version, I think.
Yeah.
Just not. You can get the sound glitch without the fast cutscenes, and that's the extent of what we can get on PC and other platforms, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I got distracted. So this is just an auto scroller, pretty much the only one in this game, where you can lose time at the end depending on how the game decides to detect what you're shooting at, I guess, or maybe it's just me being bad sometimes. But this is normally supposed to, it's like casually, it's a really exciting kind of set piece action moment where you're driving an ATST, you're shooting all these guys, stuff's blowing up. You don't actually have to shoot anything. You can just hold forward on the control stick, and the AT-AT will just walk through everything until the end, and then you do actually have to shoot stuff. But it would be less fun if you didn't blow stuff up on the way.
Yeah.
So here, there's just certain things around the landing platform that we have to blow up in order to make this ship in front of us take off. There we go. Sometimes if you miss like certain of the explodable objects, that explosion right there doesn't happen, which is basically your indication that you've destroyed enough stuff and the ship's about to take off. And then as soon as the ship starts to fly, it can take damage, so you just want to focus fire on it as much as possible until it blows up, and then the sequence ends.
Sometimes it seems to take longer than other times, but I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe it's just in your head.
I don't
I
know.
always
It's kind of hard.
alternate.
That seemed really fast.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to really know how many of your shots are actually hitting the ship and which ones are like just barely flying by and stuff like that. So, and I mean, who knows how this section even works? I don't.
That camera pan was for Grease and Sear, but they were not there.
Yeah,
No loading.
The cutscene where they walk off the ship is not sped up. And so here we get our first ability on Kashyyyk called Overcharge. It's a BD1 ability that would let us move zip lines around and activate or deactivate laser gates. If I can okay, thank you. So yeah, and then we get that ability real quick and do a quick TLJ off that spider to get out of the pit. Coming up is another interesting effect of the PS5's fast cutscene. So there's about a minute and 10-second cutscene with Saw Gerrera here at the top of this climbable wall that we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to skip. And there is a way to skip it if you just jump up to the right here, but on PS5 it's faster to just watch the cutscene. It used to be a very difficult like run-ending trick, and now you just climb up the wall.
Yeah.
Okay. There's just this quick little cutscene here that you can skip with a PBC, but I forgot to dash strike, so it didn't work that way. And now I'm going to safety save here because there's a trick coming up that isn't particularly difficult, but if I fail it, it basically is run over. There's no way to back it up. So just do a quick safety save here so that I can quit out if I have to. Okay. So you want to explain Purge Trooper Skip C Money?
Yeah, so right here there's a loading trigger for the next section, and Binks is going to have to set up a dash strike on low FPS to hit the trigger and get into the next room before it loads in. Yeah, he did perfectly. But yeah, if you fail that, or go a little bit too slow, you can get stuck in the wall or in the crawl space with fixed cameras, and it's kind of a nightmare. But
But yeah, luckily we got through that no problem. And the alternative to doing any of that out of bounds stuff is going through a couple of it's like a hallway with like 10 guys in it, and then another hallway with a little mini boss that you're supposed to. It's supposed to be your introduction to like the Purge Trooper style enemies in Fallen Order, but we just bypass it completely. And now this is the hardest trick in the game.
yeah, it's a very
Nailed it.
tight TLJ.
Yeah,
Skipping
so
over a lot of Kashyyyk, the intro part of Kashyyyk with a lot of the bosses and stuff. But
yeah, that TLJ saves about a minute and a half, but it's. I'm not being sarcastic when I say it's the hardest trick in the game. It's very, very difficult to do that.
Yeah. Kashyyyk is huge though, and it's probably the biggest planet on Fallen Order, and it's the most like stretched out as well. So trying to beeline it to the next ability.
Yeah, so we don't really do anything in the Imperial facility the way that you would in a casual playthrough, because really all we need there is overcharge and then another ability that we'll get on the way back. So once we get overcharge, we can pretty much just beeline it straight for the Shadowlands, which has 2 abilities that we need to get. So by doing a PBC through the Death Plane, we can get out of bounds and move. Where am I? It's easy to get lost down here. Okay.
Very
Everything looks the same. It's all green.
all the striations on the trees. Gonna photo mode for that loading trigger. Luckily, it loads pretty fast on PS5, but on PC and other consoles, you'd have to wait there for a little bit longer.
Yeah, on slower PCs and like the older gen consoles, PS4 and Xbox One, some of these really brief pauses or photo modes that you might see me doing, waiting for things to load, that could take, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds sometimes, or if not longer.
Yeah. If you watch my old PS4 Pro record, well, it's not a record anymore, but it's the old route where we would fly and stuff. I'd hit triggers and have to be sitting there for like 50 seconds just waiting for things to load around me before I could continue playing. It's insane.
You can think that I'm being a little bit hyperbolic when I talk about how slow the old PS4 Xbox One drives are, and even some of the like hard drives that people were using on PC when this game came out, but it takes forever.
Yeah.
Oh, that was close. Okay, I'm having issues with this
for the pull
skip
strat.
in particular. Yeah, so Cal's supposed to grab this rope that's hanging down, and sometimes he just doesn't. Well, at least I made it onto the
highlighted for you, but
yeah, I don't know why Cal hasn't been grabbing that for me the past couple days, but all right. And then, so normally you talk to that lady there standing next to all the Wookiees, and she gives you an underwater breather, and then you continue on your way. But you actually get the underwater breather as soon as the cutscene starts. So all you really have to do is talk to her and then quit out, which is actually faster because that cutscene is not sped up, and it puts you at a pretty convenient location right down by the water to just keep on going. And as you can see, we can dive. We have the underwater breather. Valid run.
Nice. That'll make the final planet much more convenient.
Yeah. So the intro section to the final planet, for anybody that's not familiar with Fallen Order, is an underwater section. There are categories where you don't have the underwater breather when you get to that planet, so you have to do some basically blind out-of-bounds swimming in order to get to the facility. That's my favorite skip in this game. Just that quick little dash flip that doesn't even look like it's out of bounds. Skips like 2 minutes of platforming and an enemy spawn trigger. It's so cool.
So simple too.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like they they made the level loop back around on itself in a way that you wouldn't really think to abuse as a casual player.
Yeah.
But yeah, it saves a lot of time in the speedrun. It's really cool. What's your favorite skip in this game, Z-Money?
Slide skip.
Oh yeah. So there was an old any percent route that skipped this big slide section that we're about to go down. Had some interesting required glitches as a part of it, but unfortunately I won't be able to showcase it. And there's a quick little cutscene at the top of this ledge here that well, if I don't have a skill issue, I can maybe skip. There we go.
Nice.
There's supposed to be a cutscene at the top of that ramp where the Ninth Sister confronts you in her ship and then starts shooting at you, which is where all these lasers are coming from now. But just this quick little dash flip out of bounds lets us skip it. That used to be a lot more important. Well, I guess on other platforms it still would be, but on PS5 the cutscene plays out pretty fast. It's about the same. It's just cool to be able to do. This is a lot less exciting without game audio.
Yeah. Need some high sound effects and
Usually I have music playing, so for me it's you just jam out. You're going down the slide, but yeah, with no game sound and no music, it's kind of just
At a live event, this would be cool to have someone with like a soundboard with a bunch of pre-programmed sound effects to be like
that
playing them during the gameplay.
Yeah.
Doing their best with like footsteps and enemy dialogue and stuff.
So swimming has some interesting mechanics that go along with it in Fallen Order. You see me kind of trying to stay on the surface as much as possible. Cal swims a little bit faster when he's on the surface of the water, but there's also like a slowdown in his animation when he goes from being underwater to being on the surface that you can bypass if you are like pretty much out of the water already. So that's why you'll see me not surfacing immediately, even though it's faster to swim on the surface. So we take this path just to line up the enemies in a way that is convenient for us to get them out of our way so that we can TLJ off one of those fireflies and get onto the lung plant there. It skips some platforming. And then here we're about to get our Jedi flip ability. There's a PBC that I can do to speed up this sequence, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it, but let's try. Hey, got it.
Ooh, nice.
So normally you have to bounce off like 4 lung plants, I think, in order to get into this flashback sequence. But if you PBC right before the flashback triggers, you get taken straight to the dojo where you learn the ability. It's very nice. And now that we have Jedi Flip, I would have the ability to fly if I wanted to. The thing is, the category is called All Abilities No Fly. And there's a reason for that. The reason is, once you get fly, if you're going to allow the use of that glitch in a category, the fastest version of this route would basically become all bosses without the bosses. Which might sound cool, but why not just run all bosses? So it made more sense to not allow flying, because if you allow flying in this category, then you wouldn't do things like Zepho in one trip. You would do 2 trips to Zepho, and you would fly on the second one, and there'd be a lot of differences that I think are not as cool. So that's why it's called All Abilities No Fly.
Yeah. I didn't know that Big Bird didn't have collision, so I was shocked when you just ran right through it.
Yeah, the bird is a lie.
Yeah. Yeah, flying came as early as the first like May the 4th update that came out for PC and consoles, and then there was never a patch for PC again, I don't think, but there was other patches for consoles, so you can still fly on console, but it's more difficult.
It's one of the rare instances.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the rare instances of a glitch that's useful for speedruns being patched into a game.
Yeah.
Normally devs find out how broken their game is when speedrunners get a hold of it and go, "Oh no," and they patch it out. But the fly glitch was actually patched in about 6 months after the game launched.
Yeah, they patched the slow being able to animation cancel your flip, but not push or block. So yeah, you can still reset your jump on console.
And
it's a lot easier with a double-bladed saber, but yeah, it's tricky.
yeah, and here's another cutscene that is not sped up at all. This is now the longest cutscene in the game when you have the fast cutscene glitch active. It's about 85, 90 seconds, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and another cutscene that's normally very fun to watch with music and game audio, but
yeah,
with dead silence, it takes a lot of the oomph out of it. But so at the end of this cutscene is one of the 3 locations in the game where you can pick up the double-bladed lightsaber, which is actually an ability because it shows up on that menu. Like I said, there's 3 places that you can get it. One here, one on Dathomir, one on Bogano. But because we have to come here anyway, because the only way to skip coming here is to fly, and we're not allowed to fly, it just makes sense to get it here.
Spin around.
Nice. There's a little cutscene there that you can skip. And so we interact with the bird there, and that activates the first of 2 boss fights in this run with the Ninth Sister. But that cutscene at the beginning of her boss fight isn't sped up, so it's faster to just quit out, and we respawn at the save point that I just walked past, and then we'll be able to do the boss fight. Yes, Geo's dumb skip. And then by doing that jump cancel, we can get a little bit further into the boss arena than we're supposed to. Oh no, come on. A little bit further into the boss arena than we're supposed to and get some free damage on the Ninth Sister by
I love that story mode damage.
Yeah, doing a drop attack on her. Okay, other than some shenanigans right there at the beginning, that was an okay boss fight. And now this bird will take us back to the beginning of the Shadowlands, which we actually haven't seen yet loaded in this run. In other categories where you don't have the powered zipline ability, there's a load trigger right here that'll detect whether or not you have powered zipline, and if you don't, it'll send you back to the facility. We do have powered zipline, so we don't get to benefit from that, unfortunately. It's one of the benefits of having a 2-trip Zepho is that all of this would be cut out. But this section isn't that long, so it doesn't make that big of a difference. It's kind of interesting that they put that check there because you're never supposed to be able to get to that point with that powered zipline.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird that they even checked for it. It kind of makes me think that the sequence that this game goes in was supposed to be much different at a few different points.
Oh, like they might have had a different route kind of in
Yeah.
mind for Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like the place where you got powered zipline changed to be later or earlier or something in the solution that they came up with. Well, let's just put a load trigger there that checks and see if they have it. So here we're going to wait for an elevator because the alternative would be to fly.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that going around. But we do have to come this way anyways because the last ability that we need on Kashyyyk is pretty much right at the top of this elevator. So we'll get off the elevator, grab that ability, and then we can leave the planet. You tried. That guy tries to get you sometimes, and if you don't avoid it, he can knock you into the little gunk stuff that's beneath you and kind of ruin your day. Kind of funny. So that's the last ability on Kashyyyk. The only thing left for us to do is to go back to the ship, which I need to TLJ to get on top of this hallway in order to do. There we go.
Nice. Oh yeah, I guess there's no way to get up to that gondola elevator without fly.
I mean, we could. It would just be slow. You would have to go through like basically the casual route and then do the. Well, I guess you wouldn't do the combat. You'd probably just PVC into the gondola, or I guess you could TLJ up to the top of it and then do the YOLO flip to get inside. But yeah, it'd be pretty slow.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think this category should allow planet fusion?
Excuse me. No, I don't. The point of it is to be more movement focused, technical, right? I think planet fusion kind of defeats the purpose. Although it probably would save time over going to Bogano 2. So towards the end of the run, we have to go back to the first planet again to progress some story events that unlock the final planet. There's a way to do that without doing those story events in a certain order that involves a pretty broken glitch that is used in any percent. I think it would defeat the purpose of this category, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not like it's on the leaderboard. People can play however they want to.
True.
So yeah, I see somebody asking in chat. So the lack of game audio is because of a glitch that speeds up all of our cutscenes. So there's no game audio, and that is intentional. That's a feature, not a bug. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see one coming up here. I think he's just gonna dash strike into it because it's usually faster than trying to even PBC it anyway.
Oh, the Marin cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be faster to PBC it if you did it fast and perfectly every time, but you have to PBC it multiple times is the problem. So the likelihood that you're going to mess it up is so high that I usually just run straight into it. So there we go. This cutscene's normally about a minute, and it plays out in 4 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, don't go that far. I'm not sure if that worked. I think it did. I don't see any enemies. There's a cutscene past this door that I can skip by PBCing the trigger that spawns it, but it also skips spawning some enemies that would be useful to get through this door, actually. Okay, there we go. So normally this is the first place where you encounter the Wanderer or the Stranger on Dathomir, who is later the boss, Terran Malicos, but the PBC that I did right next to that meditation pad avoids having to do anything with that cutscene.
Pretty goofy cutscene. It's almost like he's trying to imitate Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan, in a way.
Yeah. It has weird side effects skipping that cutscene. So normally Malicos's identity is kind of revealed to you in pieces, right? You meet him for the first time, and then you go through the whole planet of Dathomir, and you discover certain like lore tidbits and stuff like that. And then he tells you what his name is, and then every time after that, when you meet him, his name is Malicos in the subtitles. But because we don't do any of that when we're fighting him, like as a boss, if you actually look at the the subtitles, he's still called the Wanderer. So here we have our Order 66 flashback sequence. Really cool sequence of the game that in categories that allow you to fly, you can actually get through in just a few seconds. But because we don't have fly, we have to take more of a conventional approach to it. And the whole point to doing this is, so there's a planet called Ilum where you, in the story, are supposed to go to repair your lightsaber after you break it at the end of the sequence. It is possible to skip Ilum in a few different ways, but the split saber is an ability, so we have to go to Ilum.
Is that a cutscene glitch thing too? Because don't you normally have to parry like multiple bolts from that trooper? Am I misremembering?
I don't know what determines how many bolts you have to parry, but I don't think it's a cutscene thing.
Okay.
I think it has something more to do with your camera angle. Like if you parry a blaster bolt and you're looking at the location where the platforms are about to move to, I think they'll just move.
Okay.
Because I've had it.
I did that, and I remembered having to do it like 3 or 4 times. I was like,
yeah, you can have to parry him like 3 or 4 times before the platforms move, or I think if your camera angle is correct, you can just do it once. Hello, cow. So some of you might have noticed that I skipped basically the entire planet of Dathomir by just going straight to the tomb here. There's a reason for that. So normally you go down into the swamps after you have like a little run-in with the Night Brothers at the Night Brother village, and the whole planet is basically like forced on you. The only ability that's down in the swamps is the climbing claws, which you get around a boss fight with the big like Dark Souls like boss of Jedi Fallen Order called Gorgara. It's like a big bat creature. The thing is, when I get through Order 66, the game's just going to give me climbing claws. So we don't even need to go down there. So
yeah,
that TLJ
similar to the overcharge thing, it's like a failsafe because of Ilum. You need it for a lot of the ice climbing walls.
Yeah. Yeah, so that TLJ that I did to get up to the tomb and into this flashback cutscene or flashback sequence is allowing me to skip the entire planet of Dathomir. And that's how good Jedi are, man. Look at how fast he took out those monks. That was mad.
And there goes this cutscene. It's over so fast.
Yeah. So this little sequence here, some people have spot takes forever. It's really just based on how many times you hit Jaro Tapal. So if you just spam R1s with double blade, you get through it pretty quick. And now our lightsaber's broken, so we can't dash strike. So our fastest form of movement is sprinting, which kind of sucks because I have to PBC out through this. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to PBC through this door. I'm going to show you guys something. So by opening this door, this cutscene plays out where, okay, now we know what Malicos' name is, but Marin's going to raise the dead and we're going to run back to the ship. But it'll show you...
Oh, you're doing the thing.
Yeah. So this is how this glitch that I told you about called Planet Fusion was actually discovered. I was doing a run of 100% and I opened that door. It was like right after we had discovered the fast cutscenes. Hello? Please run. So yeah, what you'll see when I get back to the ship here is another cutscene's going to play, and what's supposed to happen is the game is supposed to take me to Ilum. The game is not going to take me to Ilum. The game is going to take me to Bogano, but it's going to be weird, and you'll see in a second.
Yeah, I guess when we travel in the Mantis, it's how it deloads planets and loads planets. But when there's a cutscene tied to it, going to the Mantis, it kind of glitches out when the cutscene glitch is happening. So it doesn't deload Dathomir, but it loads Bogano for some reason.
Which is, I mean, the bizarre thing is it's not supposed to load Bogano at all. It's supposed to take me to Ilum. So we see Dathomir's still loaded. The Mantis is still on Dathomir.
It's like, oh, this Bogano, sure.
This was wild the first time I saw it. You don't even know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you land on Bogano, and hey, look, there's a bunch of Nightmare Vine and Dathomir stuff in the background. That's really weird. What's happening there? So yeah, this discovery, which was tied to having fast cutscenes, is pretty much down chain. There's a lot of discoveries that were made on top of this that made the current 80% route possible. But it's the beginning of what the current 80% route became.
Yeah, there's certain things in the evolution of the route that if we hadn't discovered it when we did, we might not have discovered certain later strats or techniques, and it's wild how this game in particular evolved over the years.
Yeah, a lot of really small incremental discoveries by a lot of different people have contributed to not only the current 80% route, but just what the speedrun has been over time, right?
Yeah.
And now we're on Ilum, which is where we're supposed to be.
Ilum's a cool planet.
Ilum is a cool planet.
I'm gonna have to do this route because it's been a while since I've played some of these sections of the game, and I miss them.
Yeah, you forget like how much there is to this. There's so much tech that you just forget about if all you run is 80%.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to HDo, who found that you can just roll into the wind and it's way faster than trying to walk against it.
Backwards
saves a bunch of time here.
And they have to be backwards, right? Like if you do it forwards, it'll still push you backwards.
Right. So if I turn around and try to do that, Cal won't even roll. But if you do it backwards, he's fine.
Interesting.
Now there's some wonky geometry at a few places on Ilum where we can just skip crawl spaces and other annoying slow things like that. That skips a crawl space in, like, I don't know, 20 seconds of climbing. But yeah, Ilum is a cool planet. There's a lot of optional tech on Ilum that could save more time over what I'm going to show you, but the difficulty spikes and some of it is pretty insane. Like, so here, there's a trick I could have done where I just pull that rope and then jump up here, but it saves maybe a second if you do it perfectly, and I'm not good at it at all. So, and this puzzle here that anybody who's played this game casually probably remembers being stuck here for at least a little while is actually pretty quick if you know what to do. 1, 2, 3. So there's another little piece of optional tech here. You can, that little climbable wall over there, you can do a clip that gets you out of bounds and into the next section of the tomb a little bit faster, but again, is one of those things that doesn't save a whole lot of time, and if you mess it up, you can soft lock yourself. So I never actually learned how to do it, so we're not doing that. But the main thing that makes Ilum take as long as it does is just the fact that we have a broken lightsaber. So we can't do our dash strike tech or any of our glitches involving dash flips to PBC or anything like that. Like you see, if I try to pull my lightsaber out, Cal's just like, no, it's broken. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you can do like sprint and roll PBCs, but they're actually very difficult and not possible in most cases on PS5.
Yeah, you saw me try to do one on Braca going into the skip that I wound up failing. Where yeah, you have to like roll, and it's much easier to do those on PC than it is on PS5. There's a lot of tricks like that actually. PS5 introduces a level of difficulty, and we're not really sure why. I'm convinced it has something to do with the controller mapping, but people have other theories. So like the YOLO launch on Zepho that I did is, I mean, it's called YOLO because it's inconsistent, but the level of inconsistency on PS5 is an order of magnitude higher than it is on PC for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like on PC, people have gotten fairly consistent with it, where if you have the precise lineup and you do the correct things in the correct order with the correct timing, you'll get a predictable result. But that does not seem to be the case on the PS5 port, and we have no idea why. So coming up here used to be the longest cutscene in the game. Without the cutscene glitch, this cutscene is 5 minutes, and we had a really intricate setup for a skip that took about 2 minutes, so it was still really worth doing. But with the cutscene glitch, this plays out in like 15 seconds, I think.
That cutscene looks really nice too. The PS5 is the most up-to-date version as well, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm always surprised how good Fallen Order looks on PS5, even compared to like Survivor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places where this game I think actually looks better.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is, I mean, I'm playing on performance mode, which is supposed to be the less good looking of the two, right?
Yeah.
Because trying to speedrun this at 30 FPS is impossible.
What color are you gonna pick?
What color should I pick, chat? Quick. Green, blue,
First
cyan,
answer
violet.
gets
First
it.
answer. Purple. Okay.
Oh, multiple people said purple.
Everybody says purple, so good job, chat. We have our lightsaber back. We have our beloved dash strike tech back. There's normally supposed to be a ton of combat here with like multiple waves of troopers, and then inside this door there's a bunch of security droids. That sounds slow. So I'm just gonna try to avoid all of it.
Oh snap. This skip is a lot harder than it looks, but it looks really cool too.
Yeah, I just messed it up. But that's okay. I'll try it again. This is one of those things that's, yeah, it's a lot harder than it looks. There's a void plane here out of bounds that can just destroy your whole day.
Collision's pretty
doing
wonky in spots too.
collision's weird. Moving basically in any direction other than the correct one can get you stuck.
Nice.
Oh, there's that void plane. It's not easy to tell. So there's some water out of bounds there, and it's not super easy to tell when you're gonna hit it, especially, I mean, without sound, you can't even really tell when you're in the water. And if you move forward at all after you hit the water, you're gonna hit that void plane, and you're gonna go all the way back to.
Yeah, it extends farther than even like the blue aura thing that you see. Yeah, water fields are super weird in this game. And it's not even like, I would think that I would have thought when I was glitch hunting in this game that like an air swim glitch would be possible, but it seems like it's applying effects to Cal when he's in that area, not applying effects to Cal when he enters the water and like taking them away when he resurfaces, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, if we had an air swim, that would be fantastic. If it was possible to avoid all these void planes, which I don't know. The air swimming in Sekiro, where they just don't void out ever, looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
But wish we had that. I headbutt the door every time because it's habit. Once you hit it the first, so there's a load trigger out the door that you have to hit once. And I think once you hit it the first time, you don't actually have to hit it again, but I always run up against the door as a habit. If you don't do that the first time, the cave isn't loaded at all properly, so you literally can't even hit the water and get back into the cave. And you might have noticed also when I was after I got out of the water, out of bounds, the cave had like weird silvery colors. That's because the cave's not fully loaded yet, and if I had voided out during that time, it would have put me all the way back at the split saber room.
Oh.
So it's really important not to void out there. There's the only probe droids that we see in the game.
Yeah, I thought you were doing that because of like enemy pathing or something, so they wouldn't hit you as you're.
It is also partially. Yeah, it is also partially that. There's a cheeky little skip here that we can do. So normally at the end of Ilum, you're supposed to fight 2 ATSTs, and it doesn't take a ton of time on story mode, but it still takes a second. I'd rather not do it. So we just drag that scout trooper out of the cave, do a quick little TLJ off of him to get up here, and then do some out of bounds movement. And now we're in the ATST arena, but the ATSTs are not there. And because the bosses didn't load in, we never told Grease to close up the Mantis, and we can just get on board. And nice. I'm not going to split.
Why were you able to pull the trooper multiple times? Is that something with it not being in combat?
Yeah,
like
so once
you're leaving.
Yeah, so you have limited force when you're in combat. But once you're out of combat range with an enemy, you can do stuff like that where you can just infinitely pull them towards you, and it doesn't cost any force. Some of the earlier challenge runs of this game kind of abuse that. I think I saw Hob doing that a lot in his like attempts at no damaging this game. To like cheese packs of enemies and get them separated so that you can just kill one at a time where their AI isn't even activated. Because if you pull them all the way out, like you might have noticed that trooper wasn't attacking me, because once he's out of his leash range, his AI is telling him, you're not where you're supposed to be, go back to like this location. So that's all he really wants to do until his coordinates are set properly, and then his enemy AI will become active if I'm in range. But as long as he's out of his normal area, he like doesn't even want to attack me or anything, which is useful for trying to TLJ. I wish the guy on Kashyyyk was like that.
Yeah, just becomes another interactable item that you can use the Force infinitely on.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like that more than Survivor. Survivor will just deload enemies that get too far from their original spawn point.
Really? It Elden Rings them?
Yeah. There's a few skips like in the glitchless run that are really tight because if you throw them and then do the air dash strike across a big gap, they'll just deload after a few seconds. Which is pretty funny.
So I had to do a PVC there again because the cutscene up here with Terran Malicos that I skipped on Dathomir 1, if I hit that trigger, it will load it again. So I'll get another cutscene here. Oh, it looks like I missed it. So we get to watch this Terran Malicos cutscene.
Now it says Terran Malicos.
Yeah, and now it says Terran Malicos because that flag is set. Just an interesting, weird way that the identity of Terran Malicos works. There's no guys here. Why is that? There's normally dudes there. Oh, it's because it's
Open
because
the door,
Terran,
maybe.
Well, no, it's because I watched I opened the door and Marin raised the dead.
Oh yeah.
So this little fight, all you have to do is use a split saber strike on Jaro Tapal, and the fight's over.
Split saber is really cool. I think I remember hearing that they were partially trying to implement a dual stance kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Didn't quite finish it or something.
Yeah, that's what I remember them saying, is that they had wanted to include like a dual wielding stance, and it just wasn't. They didn't quite have time to do it. So that was one of the things they really wanted to do in Survivor, was fully implement that, as opposed to just having a split saber strike.
Yeah. Marin has hair.
Marin has hair. Yeah. So normally in our speedruns, Marin is bald there, but because I watched the cutscene where she raises the dead, she has hair. And because we're on story mode, the fastest way to kill Malicos is just to spam split saber strike with the double blade over and over and over again. And so when you're on story mode, your force regen is insane. Like, it's very fast. It's so fast that by the time Malicos is out of his recovery frames, I can just use another one. And I can just do that until he's dead. And occasionally he'll parry me. But there we go.
It's that one guy that always spams the same move in the fighting games.
Yep. Hardest boss in the game, by the way. So here there's a little cutscene where the normally you're kind of just stuck on that platform and the astrium comes down. It takes like 4 seconds, but if you hug the side wall there and then do a quick little jump cancel over that gap, you can skip having to watch that, and then you void out and you're back on the platform that you were walking up on. And in other, like, older any percent routes, we kind of abused that void out to spawn in other locations. So when we had the flying glitch, what we would do is, in this first room of the tomb, we would start flying. We wouldn't hit the ground until we touched the astrium, and then we would void out at the end of the cutscene. And because the last stable ground that we were on was all the way back at the beginning of the tomb, the game would respawn us like right ahead of me right now. And then we could just go back to the Mantis. Actually, I think there was a route where you flew all the way from the Mantis to the astrium without ever touching the ground.
Oh, really?
And then after that cutscene, you voided out, and yeah, it respawned you at the Mantis.
That's crazy. I feel like after a certain amount of distance and time, it becomes less worth it because the speed of flying isn't super fast. Yeah,
that is a thing to consider. Flying isn't nearly as fast as dash striking is. So if you have to fly an insane distance just to avoid having to chain dash back, it's not really worth it. But for middling distances, it can be okay.
There's like 8 spiders there. What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? So that pickup that we got in the tomb there is a story item that we needed to set some flags on Bogano, which was the first planet that we went to. So now we're going to go back. At this point, we have all of the abilities that are in the game. So we just need to unlock the final planet and travel there and beat the game.
Yeah, that was the basis for most of the routes since the beginning, was getting that Astrium ability or that item and then going back to Pagano Vault to open it up to unlock the final planet. So it wasn't until Planet Fusion Discovery and Airwalks in the Mantis was discovered that we eventually figured out we can cause the final planet to appear on the hollow table itself.
Yeah, so there's an interactable object in the vault on Pagano that only becomes interactable if you have the Astrium. So for a long time, we pretty much thought that you would always have to go to Dathomir and always have to get the Astrium in order to progress the end game. But not anymore. Not sure what I was running into there.
Powered zipline, pathway to many routes I never considered in my brain.
Yeah, with powered zipline, Pagano 2 is pretty fast. It opens up a lot of possibilities in terms of traversal to and from the vault.
You actually need force push for that Astrian to be put into the vault there.
Yeah, that was another thing that we always kind of thought we were going to have to do, because that object isn't interactable if you don't have force push. So we always figured that the route was going to be some version of get off Braca, get off Pagano, get push on Zepho, do some stuff in between, go to Dathomir, get the Astrium, come back to Pagano, and then go to Nur, which just by itself takes like an hour.
Yeah.
Actually, I think there was a route
sped up on PS5. PC has to sit there for like 20 seconds. I don't know.
Please interact with the holocron. Thank you.
There was a route where
yeah, there was a route where that was pretty much all we did. And I think the time on that was like 53, 55 minutes on PC or something like that.
This is like one of the final, or the final, I guess, sort of dream sequence that Kyle's going through.
Yeah, normally a little nightmare sequence of the Empire killing all of his kids.
Yeah.
And not a whole lot of ways to make it faster other than just having good movement. And then this section here, there's a way to PBC out of these things, but oh, well, I got the first one.
Nice.
These little things right here are really hard to get out of.
Pushed you out.
Puts up invisible walls in front of you and doesn't let you out until, well, got the second one. Doesn't let you out
you have
until
to be like perfectly in the corner of the collision of those fog walls, and then it'll let you go through.
Yeah, these are pretty bizarre, but I think 2 out of 3 is good. The downside to trying to PBC out of these is that because on PS5 you actually need to pause, every attempt is like a little bit longer than it takes when you unpause. So there does come a point where you just like, okay, stop trying.
Yeah,
and
just let it play
get
out.
done with faster.
Yeah. Jedi 3 is Pog indeed. And it was the two harder ones. That third one I'm a lot more consistent at usually. But yeah, you got those first two.
Yeah, I have not been very good with those lately. I don't know what the problem is, but the third one especially is usually pretty hard for me.
Oh, okay.
And now if we interacted with that holocron, we would have a boss fight with Trilla, but we don't need to do that. We can just clip out and fail and void out and try it again. That's the second time that's happened to me. Oh, come on. Gotta love marathon luck. You all of a sudden start to fail things that you never in your life have failed before, and things that are normally easy are super hard.
Yeah.
There's another instance where having powered zipline is very nice. Prevents us from having to like run a long way. Invisible BD1, poggers.
Why? Where is he?
He's back at the holocron waiting for me to touch it.
Oh, he's still waiting for you to get out of your nightmare.
And we TLJ off of that guy because if we tried to go over to that platform there's a cutscene trigger from the very beginning of the game that wants to teach us how to use the map. So we really don't want to be on that platform. So that would take like a minute.
Yeah, map is actually a pretty big part of this game for the casual playthrough, but we never trigger that tutorial, so we never have access to it actually.
Well, actually, I don't even know if I would be able to watch that cutscene because so normally, if you do the wall run flashback skip that I did right at the beginning of the game with Bogano launch, you're not able to use the map for the entirety of the run. So like if I tried to pull up my holo map right now, it wouldn't work. And there's actually a way that I can soft lock myself on NER like that, that I'll have to be careful of.
Yeah.
Where the game is trying to open the map and I don't have access to it, so it'll just stay like that forever. So yeah, actually that cutscene, if I ran into it, might actually soft lock me.
Yeah, I guess you would just stand there in place, right? It wouldn't even like trigger the map tutorial properly.
Yeah, it's like the I know on NER, you know, in that first hallway where you kill those guys and then like it's supposed to show you the objective.
Yeah.
If you don't have the map, you just stand there infinitely forever, which if I mess up anything past that point and have to reload, people will get to see firsthand, and I will have to fly to avoid it.
Yeah.
So normally we would quit out here, but the fast cutscene just kind of makes it not even worth it to quit out because, oh look, I'm already in the water. This is that point where if you don't have the underwater breather, the game looks interesting.
Yeah.
Because Cal's spawn point underwater is still the same, but because he doesn't have the underwater breather, the game thinks, oh, he needs to surface, so he immediately starts going towards the surface. And at the same time, your camera is not next to Cal because the game's camera doesn't go underwater if you don't have the underwater breather. So the camera is on the surface of the water, and you have to like move Cal around in the rocks, completely blind, just navigating by where the camera is, not where Cal is, in order to try to get out of it. It's an interesting strat that I'm really glad I don't have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other routes you have to quit out at that starting cutscene because when you don't have the underwater rebreather, it still applies Cal swimming underwater, and he'll just be permanently swimming underwater even if he's not in a water field. And then you have to just quit out so it reapplies him in a normal state.
Yeah. So NER is another interesting level that's gone through a lot of changes. as the route has progressed. But I think I feel pretty confident saying that the current version of NER is the fastest that is possible without flying.
Yeah.
So basically, you just fall out of the water right here, and then you jump, and you hit this little load trigger with the camera, which is the only load trigger in the entire game that can be hit with the camera instead of with Cal. And we're right at the end of the level. We skipped a lot of movement and combat in hallways. We skipped this entire like dojo segment where you're supposed to fight a bunch of purge troopers. Please, Cal. And we just have to PBC into this elevator and get towards the end game.
That photo mode trick is a lot harder on any percent because we only have single jump.
Yeah.
So you have to time it a lot later when you go into photo mode. And the range is just barely enough to reach it. Yeah,
it's extremely forgiving in this category because you have the Jedi flip. Without it, it's a trick that's very easy to kill your run right at the end of the game.
Yeah.
No.
Are you doing the airwalk strat?
Yeah.
This is a cool strat. I like this one.
Yeah. So there's a few ways to do this going forward. The way that I prefer is to use this glitch called an airwalk, where I trick the game into thinking that I tried to meditate. And then I'll have BD1 unlock this door. So we've known for a while that you don't actually have to beat the final boss. You just have to hit this load trigger in this room, and the way to know that you've hit it is if that spinning thing up there appears. And then I release this airwalk, and what that does is it makes Cal want to go back to that meditation pad that I just tried to rest at and then delayed the interaction. But you can see the game thinks that Cal's there, so he's gonna meditate, and I'm gonna leave. And oh look, I'm back outside the arena with all this extra stuff here that wasn't here before. So what is all this? Well, this is the escape sequence from Vader that get loaded by me hitting that trigger in the boss room. So final bosses are optional in Jedi Fallen Order, not Jedi Survivor, unfortunately.
Yeah. There he is.
And now here's the true final boss of many a Jedi Fallen Order speedrun. Shout out to Fish People. This elevator has a lot of loading triggers in it, which on PC and other slower loading console platforms, your interaction with those loading triggers can actually create so much lag that you clip through the bottom of the elevator. I don't believe it's ever happened to anyone on PS5, but it was a very frequent fixture of Fallen Order speedruns on PC and other consoles for a very long time.
Yeah. I think I might have done it once on 30 FPS when I hit Vader's saber as it came through the door.
Yeah, it happened to me quite a bit in my early runs before I knew what it was. We call it getting fished. But that's the end of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order speedrun. Time ends as soon as Cal stabs Vader, which is right now.
Time.
And then the ending cutscenes are sped up because, of course, they are.
Yeah. GG.
Thanks. I'm glad that I got to show off, I think, pretty much everything that I wanted to, and I'm way underestimate. I apologize about that, but I guess that's better than the alternative.
Yeah, it was a clean run.
Yeah, pretty clean. Other than, I mean, a few things didn't go exactly according to plan, but 147 for a marathon, I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, all those laser gates could take a while if it your timing's just barely off. You can get those for a while.
Yeah, a lot of PBCs you can stand there for several minutes just trying the same thing over and over and over again until the game says yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. All abilities, no fly. Thank you very much, BMAC, for setting up Kessel Run, and RGL for hosting it. And thank you, Z-Money, for agreeing to commentate with me.
For sure. Connect Star Wars next. Ooh.
Connect Star Wars next. The best Star Wars game that has ever graced our consoles.
Yes.
With that, I think we'll turn it back over. Thank you guys for watching.
Peace.